Welcome to STAR, Society of Tarot and Astrology Readers podcast. I'm Nao.
And I'm Joaly.
And today we are talking about the AstroWeather of Aries season 2022, how to make it your bitch, and how you live in solar synchronicity to the max. And I think I have to immediately cede the mic to the resident Aries.
You do. I demand it. I absolutely demand it. Welcome to Aries season, starlings and everyone else. Welcome to the beginning, the first sign of the zodiac procession, Aries season, the infant of the zodiac, the one that makes it happen. We are definitely the best of the best because we are the ones that take the initiative. The lighting of the match is what takes place here in Aries season, the beginning of it all. And being an Aries myself and knowing how we absolutely have to be first, we're the only ones brave enough to do it. And the beginning of spring, the audacity to be born belongs to Aries.
It does.
So I am very, very proud. And in that same vein, we're the baby of the zodiac. So all a baby has to do is just cry and get what it wants, mostly. So I'm fine with that personally, as my excuse for any shortcoming in my personality. I'll happily blame that I am the infant of the zodiac. But yes, we are in the Cardinal fire season.
Yes. So when we're saying
fire,
when we talk about cardinal fire, what we mean, just for those of you who are unawares, cardinal references the modality. So it's how the element of that particular sign is expressing itself. So cardinal, in general, for all four of the cardinal signs, cardinals are initiating. It's all about starting the action. They're about bringing things into manifestation. So a good way to memorize that is to pay attention to the fact that all equinoxes and solstices, which we in our traditional calendars say, oh, this is what starts the natural seasons, spring, summer, fall, and winter. It correlates to the start of the cardinal seasons, Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. Now, fire is the element that represents our life force, that spark of life. So it's the things that drive us to be alive, but also to achieve things, to create things, and to self-express. That's all encompassed in the fire element. So when we take these two things and kind of like add them together, we have the beginning or the initiator of the life's force, the life spark, which makes sense because, like you mentioned, Aries is like the infant of the zodiac. It's the beginning of the zodiac. It's the start of the astrological year. So it makes sense that that would be the sentence, the elemental sentence that kicks off the astrological year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the sun is exalted in Aries. And that's a beautiful, beautiful place to be for the sun. The sun is obviously domicile in Leo, but exalted in Aries. And solar synchronicity is something that we're going to talk about today. It is a new concept. Just kidding. People have been doing it since the beginning of time. But we came up with the word tonight, we think, unless somebody's been saying it, otherwise copyrighted or something, because we didn't know or hear about you. So, but yes, what is solar synchronicity? Now, if you're a part of the community, we talk about lunar synchronicity a lot because of ATML, living in lunar synchronicity. We will get into that in a later episode of the podcast. But one thing that we do at STAR very, very well is live in solar synchronicity, which I defined tonight as living according to the seasons of the zodiac, using the available energy of the procession to manifest your goals. So in true Aries fashion, we just take the initiative to come up with something, define it, put it out there, and not that it's a new concept, but actually calling it that and coming up with the fact that we're going to frame these episodes where we talk about the astro weather and the things that are going on every season, as living in solar synchronicity, the do's and don'ts of the season, and how you can use the available energy in order to live with the most possible ease, considering our circumstances, going with the energy instead of against it. I am very happy to announce that we do have a special guest this episode.
Yes, making
We
her
do.
star podcast debut.
Yes, we are so happy and honored to have a brilliant astrologer among us. And as we were talking about solar synchronicity, knowing the astro weather of the season that you're about to go into will actually help you make your plans accordingly.
So, what do we mean when we say astro weather? It's just a fancy little term that we are using on the podcast to describe the transits. So, what we're going to have on this little section here is we're going to have our fantastic friend just give us an astro weather report, a transit report for what transits are the highlight of Aries season here in 2022.
So here is our correspondent, Tanya, with the astro weather. Take it away, Tanya.
Hello, Star Podcast listeners. This is Tanya with Mercurial Wonder Astrology, and I am here today to give you guys my astrological forecast for Aries season. I want to thank Joaly and Nao for having me and for giving me the opportunity to share this with you guys. It is actually about 7 p.m. On the West Coast, first day of Aries season as I'm recording this, so we're already in it. We are still experiencing some Pisces energy though, because Mercury is still there and getting closer and closer to exact conjunction with Neptune. So we have a lot of mental fuzziness right now, confusion in communication. There might be some misunderstandings happening for the next few days. So that's something to keep an eye on. The exact conjunction between Mercury and Neptune will occur on March 23rd, and then Mercury will speed right through and start separating pretty quickly. Mercury will make a sextile to Pluto right as he is getting ready to leave Pisces on the 26th of March. So if you have some studying to do, that's a really good day to do it, because Pluto aspecting Mercury in a harmonious aspect like that can really create a good vibe for digging deep into a subject. And then Mercury will move into Aries on the 27th, and then we'll just kind of be fully into Aries season at that point. Interestingly enough, one of the main features that I'm seeing for Aries season this year, it has nothing to do with Aries at all. It's that configuration of Venus, Mars, and Saturn in Aquarius, where Mars has been in hot pursuit of Venus for a few weeks now, since they kind of tussled in Capricorn after Venus came out of retrograde. And so Venus is speeding towards Saturn in the sign of his domicile, and Mars is in hot pursuit. Neither Venus or Mars particularly enjoys being in Aquarius, although Venus does have essential dignity there, based on the trine from Libra where she's at home. When you're conceptualizing this configuration, it's good to keep in mind that for the last few months, Venus has just been in not great condition. From the time that she was in Scorpio until now, because Scorpio is a martial sign. It's Mars ruled, and it is a place where she's in detriment. And then went from Scorpio to Sagittarius, where it's a fire sign, and Venus is not super happy in a fire sign. She likes air and earth signs. Earth because they're more stable, more practical. There's more stability there. And Venus likes stability. Venus likes to know what's going to happen next. With air signs, she likes the sociability of being in an air sign. She likes to interact with other people. So being in Sagittarius was really, not a great place for her either. And then she moved into Capricorn, which is Saturn ruled sign, and also retrograded in that sign. And as soon as she came out of retrograde, Mars was in conjunction with her. And that's an uncomfortable situation because it's the sign of Mars's exaltation. And so for the last few months, we've been dealing with Venus in not a great condition. And the first part of Aries season is kind of going to continue that trend. And at this point, Venus is just like exhausted, right? And she's like speeding away from Mars, just trying to get away from that, really aggressive energy, and speeding towards Saturn, which is really like dominating and domineering and just controlling and restricting. So it's going to be subjectively uncomfortable in a lot of situations, especially social situations, because Venus is how we create harmony with those around us. And it's how we create peaceful compromise with other people. And having Venus in a position where she's right between the aggressive action of Mars and the dampening, restrictive quality of Saturn just doesn't put her in a great place to be able to provide those types of things for us. So that's going to be kind of the hallmark of that first-ish week of Aries season. Venus does catch up to Saturn around March 28th, and then surpasses him. So at that point, she'll have a little bit of relief from being besieged by Mars and Saturn. And then she'll finally move into Pisces on April 5th. And there will be a lot more, it'll be a lot more comfortable at that point. People will probably see a marked shift in the way that they're relating to other people at that point. A configuration we're going to see right before Venus ingresses into Pisces is on April 2nd. We're going to see a Sun, Mercury, and Chiron conjunction. So all three of those bodies are going to be right there together in the sky. This is probably not a very comfortable configuration for people, but also it does provide an opportunity for us to look at maybe places where we are not so great at standing up for ourselves. Chiron in Aries is kind of like indicative of a place where our inner warrior is wounded, right? The part of ourselves that stands up for what we want and what we need is wounded. And so this is a really great configuration for kind of introspecting. And I know Aries is not really the sign for introspection, but Mercury being in this place gives us the opportunity to really put some thought into how we don't stand up for ourselves, or how we might stand up for ourselves in the wrong ways. So that's a good way to utilize that energy on April 2nd in a constructive way, rather than lashing out at everyone around us, because as you know, when we are wounded, we wound other people. We'll be experiencing a conjunction between Mars and Saturn on April 5th. that's going to be a good time for administrative work. It's going to be a good time for calculated action. So if you have to make a plan or put a plan in motion, this is a good time for that. The days preceding that and the days directly after that will still carry that energy. Mercury speeding through Aries will make sextiles to both Saturn and Mars around the 7th and 8th, and then a square to Pluto as it's making its final sprint towards Taurus around April 10th. So that Mercury square Pluto can be kind of a subjectively uncomfortable day or so, but obviously Mercury is fast, it's a transient effect, so it's not something that needs to be too concerning unless there's other configurations that are being touched on in your natal chart. April 11th, Mercury moves into Taurus. During this time, we're going to be experiencing that conjunction between Jupiter and Neptune. It's going to get pretty close around April 7th, and then it'll continue to get close until it's exact on April 12th. And then it'll stay pretty well in effect until about the 17th. So that's kind of a nice configuration there in Pisces. And if you're looking at elections in regard to spiritual matters or even like higher education in some ways that harkens back to like things of a spiritual nature, this is a good configuration if you're putting it in the right house for an elections chart. We're going to have another high activity day right at the end of Aries season on the 18th. Mercury will be exactly conjunct Uranus. There will be a sextile from Venus to both of those planets. And the Sun is also going to be squaring Pluto on that day. So that kind of feels to me like new information or unexpected information coming to light, learning something that was unexpected or hearing something that was unexpected, because Venus is making a sextile to it from Pisces. The hope is that it's good information, happy news, but it really is going to depend on what kind of aspects those planets are making to an individual's natal chart, of course. Also, with that Sun squaring Pluto on the same day, it could be information that comes to light that is disempowering in some way. So that's something to keep a lookout for and keep in mind as we draw to the end of Aries season. And then the Sun will be moving into Taurus on the 20th of April. So that's what I have for you guys. As far as the transit weather goes, if you want to find out how these configurations work directly on your natal chart, we can set up a transit reading if that's something you're interested in. You can find my information at mercurialwonder.com. I want to thank Nao and Joaly for having me on again. This is Tanya with Mercurial Wonder, and I hope you have a wonderful Aries season.
Thank you so much, Tanya. She doesn't miss a beat.
No, she's got it all down pat.
She does. There's a lot going on. Like, I'm like shook. That's how it always is with the Tanya reading. You're just like, you're shook. You have to take a few minutes to like adjust yourself because this woman she's so brilliant at astrology and how it applies to life. Like, that's why we chose Tanya to give these reports of the astro weather so that we can plan our life accordingly. So listening to her, one of the things that stood out to me was struggle Venus in Scorpio season. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Can I get an amen? Like, that has definitely been a thing. I know she's right. Like, honestly, it feels so validating to hear somebody say, if you've been having a hard time in multiple different types of ways, when it comes to your relationship, you're not alone, blame it on the stars.
Right.
Because we're out here struggling. So I definitely felt that. Exhausted Venus, and she talked about running away from Mars and towards Saturn. I thought of how many of y'all are running away from one motherfucker to another one, like from the pot to the frying pan. And Venus being particularly difficult in that sort of way. So nobody's made good decisions. And I think of all my, no shade to y'all. I love you, Queen Machete patrons and clients. But those of you who got in and out of relationships during this time, LOL. You know what I mean? Because that was a very struggle. Venus, she definitely drove that point home. Like, Venus is not even trying to be an Aquarius anyway.
Right.
Let alone in between douchebag number 1 and 2 when it comes to relationships. So that definitely stood out to me.
Yeah, and just how, like, feeling in general that the oppression of, I mean, I just made me think of, like, the oppression of women. Like, I feel oppressed the fuck sometimes in terms of, like, the expectations that men have for me, whether it's the Mars as my lover, right? And then Saturn as, like, the actual structure of the patriarchy itself, wanting to, like, consistently boot stomp us at every opportunity and trying to define us and put us in our place in one form or another. It just feels like that's what's kind of happening in the sky right now. And I'm glad that, Pisces will bring relief. I feel like it's going to be like stepping into the ocean, after all of the fuck shit. Because even though, like Tanya said, like, Venus does enjoy the communicativeness of air signs, but, like, Aquarius, out of the two air signs, in terms of, like, it's so, Gemini's got that, like, closer, like, chit-chatty liveliness. There's a liveliness to Gemini that's very, very pleasant, and I can see why Venus would fuck with that, for sure. And then in Libra, that's one of its domicile placements. So again, totally comfortable and at home. It's the ruler of it. So, but in Aquarius has such a detached nature to it that the benefits of Venus itself, of the way that we connect to other people, it's very much on a detached level. Even though, yes, we talk about Aquarius being, like, the humanitarian and just really on, like, big picture philosophical stuff, that's cool and all, but, like, that's not what really brings people together intimately. Like, for some people, I get some people out there love to talk about Marx and communism and then like to finger fuck right after that, and that's fine. Do what you gotta do. But for most of us, the communist theory does not make a pussy wet most of the time.
I mean, ask the TikTok kids, though. They're weird over there. That's what I kept thinking about the whole time you were talking. I was like, the TikTok kids, they're about this life. This Aqua Venus weird shit, detached humanitarian love that doesn't actually apply to a human-to-human relationship, more of a conceptual utopian community type shit. I definitely feel that Aquarian energy with the TikTok kids and all the upheaval that happened on TikTok for relationships. We can definitely see that Aquarius had a fucking field day with that shit. So that was definitely a thing. And yes, I too am looking forward to April 5th when it goes into Pisces. I'm excited also about the new moon. I think the new moon is going to be a really dope one. I like that she talked about the Mercury Chiron Mars conjunction in Aries and how that is going to lend itself to an opportunity to speak on your wounds and help one another heal. Aries, Chiron spends a lot of time in Aries. The time it takes in Aries is longer than other signs. So people with Aries placements are having like a perpetual Chiron transit. We're used to having it here hanging out over our stuff. But to have Mercury there really gives an opportunity to speak on it. And when you think of everything that's going on in Aquarius, we just talked about this revolutionary Martian energy and humanitarian Venus energy and structural, technological Saturn energy that's there. I think with that Aries, Chiron, and Mercury, and then Venus and what's going on with Mars and Saturn, that is revolutionary. And the ability to speak on that and take action on that revolution. And if we look at the political landscape, which we won't really get into in this particular episode, but it tracks.
Yeah, it tracks. And well, because there's so much that needs to be expressed, especially on that big macro scale. There's a lot that needs to be expressed. There's a lot that really needs to get out there. And I can see, like, one thing about, like, Aries energy, that even though, like, Aries comes on super fucking hot sometimes, super passionate, super fucking direct, right there in your fucking face, the thing is that Aries cools off just as fast as it flares up. So if you can survive the initial burn, you'll be fine. You're going to be able to, like, recover. So even though whatever has to be expressed may come out harsh because it needs to be immediately expressed without careful consideration or any backdrop or planning it out, it's going to come right the fuck out. Once that comes out, and even if it might sting in the beginning, just know that whatever happens in that particular transit, you can heal and recover from that, because the initial passion and even maybe anger that might come with that will cool off. It's the act of expressing it itself is what's going to trigger the cooling off. So let that kind of happen, let that come out, because once that heals and cools down and compresses, you can see what's left, what the genuine sentiment really is, and what was the important nugget of information that had to get out immediately, and then see what you can do with it from there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the good thing about Aries is because we're babies, we're not like logging all this information in our heads to hold it against you later. We cry, we get what we need, and then, we move forward. There isn't a lot of grudges held with Aryan energy. There isn't a lot of research done with Aryan energy either. It is very extremely action oriented. So with the Aquarius stuff and the Aries stuff going on, I really think there's opportunities for action to take place, as well as the ability to communicate. Because those energies mixed together, Aries energy and Aquarius energy, isn't anything to fuck with. That's nothing to sneeze at, because that's very strong, forward, not afraid to be revolutionary in the least about it, and has really covers the individual and the collective. Their house, I mean, people would kill me if, the 12 letter alphabet system, but still, like, a lot of those concepts can be in a first house area, if that's okay to say, and an 11th house area. And I think that is really interesting that is taking place right now in the sky. The Jupiter-Neptune conjunction looked really cool too. I'm excited for that. I think that's going to be on our north nodes.
Yeah, they are. Honest. Which is nice. I'm down for, like, because that kind of energy, particularly for, like, what we are doing, case in point. Yes. We're talking about metaphysical things. We're talking about the woo-woo stuff. We love to be up in these vibes on some metaphysical shit. So I think that will be quite delightful. Quite delightful. Maybe we should do, like, a live event or something spicy.
We should. I mean, it is the expansion of the dream world. So yes, it's going to expand your delusions and illusions, but sometimes you need that. Sometimes your dreams need to just get a little bit bigger to permeate reality. And with that Aries energy present, that cardinal energy can just reach in and be that spark to spark it over here into reality. And I'm really excited about the new starts that can happen this season, the new moon that can really be a healing one, when otherwise the season can just be really aggressive overall. So we talked a bit in the intro about solar synchronicity, and we defined it as living according to the seasons of the zodiac precession. And what we're going to do now is explain how to do that in action. Like, based on what we heard, we listened to the AstroWeather. Mm-hmm. We talked about what's going on. And we are now going to, based on that information, talk about the do's and don'ts for the season and what would work best around this time, and what probably isn't recommended around this time. Now, granted, just like Tanya said, how this energy is going to interact with you in your chart is its own unique miracle. Okay, like that's a fingerprint that's going to be so unique to you, and you can get a transit report from Mercurial Wonder Astrology, of course, and really look at how this is going to impact you specifically. But as a collective, we have some do's and don'ts for Aries season. So, Nao, if you had to give, based on what we heard, somebody like, what would be your biggest do and your biggest don't this season?
Well, I think in terms of just Aries season in general, the biggest do of any Aries season is like to act. Do the fucking thing. Whatever the thing happens to be for you is going to like look different. And again, paying attention to how these transits affect your chart, you can get more information, specifically looking at the house placement on what the do is for you. But do the thing. Just go and do the thing.
Definitely.
In terms of the don'ts, especially giving like this astro weather, I would say don't. No, you're going to want to be hasty because it is Aries season. I'd say don't let whatever happens in this season like stay with you and linger, because it's not something that you would want to let stay with you simply because it's spring. It's time to like grow and to expand and to look out and around. So like if there are things that are happening, I'm specifically thinking about like, because of the fact that relationships are under significant tension with this Venus situation that we have going on in the sky, and not really getting a break from that until April 5th, be mindful in your relationships that there are some things that you can't take back once you say them. And that would be the biggest don't for, even though Aries, but the thing is that you're going to want to, because it is Aries season, especially once Mercury goes into Aries, you're going to want to fucking say the thing. But I would say it's more about doing. Do the thing. Don't always say the thing. That comes to mind.
Yeah, I think those are good do's and don'ts for this season. For me, just like Nao said, Aries season is all about action and taking action. So I would definitely this season have the audacity to put yourself first and your needs first. That's very much what Aries is about. I've been talking about Aries being the baby of the zodiac, and this really applies here. Babies put their needs first because that's how they survive. You wouldn't survive as a baby if you didn't prioritize. I personally need food right now. If a baby was worried about how their mom felt or what their dad was doing or what the president was doing, they would really fail at like surviving. And in order for the rest of the procession to take place, this Aries initiation has to be able to come through. So doing self-focused things and connecting with your physical body, moving, things that connect you with yourself are highly recommended this season. Also, because of the aggression, because of the anger and the lack of patience and the stuff that the Aryan archetype can bring, physical movement, exercise, working out, other ways to channel that Martian drive that can come with this season. There's definitely a vibe there. And also, I wanted to say before we got too far, since we are the Society Tarot and Astrology readers, then we would be remiss to not at least mention the Emperor and how the Emperor really can guide us into knowing the do's and don'ts of the season. Because it's not like we did talk about Aries being the baby of the zodiac, but Emperor is the archetype in tarot, I feel, because it wants to tap into the frequency of Aries that is the leader, the one that is willing to lead and brave enough to do it, no questions asked, willing to impose their will because they know it is for the best. And that's what the Emperor does, for the best of his kingdom, because he is responsible for that, and he has rulership of his own dominion. So we're taking those self-focused traits of Aries and putting them towards the betterment of multiple people, because the Emperor is a father figure, and I think the Emperor leading a community along with what is going on in Aqua, I think that really kind of helps illustrate the need for the self-focus for the greater good, which I think is really a really cool aspect to that.
Yeah, I think that framing it that way, because I talked about that a little bit when I was over at Spirit Heart Eugene, talking about like Aries season and the Emperor, and talking about how like the main message that I wanted people to take away from what I was saying about this particular card was, one thing that you can be definitely assured of in terms of what is your specific dominion, you as an individual person listening to me right now, the dominion that you absolutely always have a throne on and sit with absolute power over is yourself. And therefore, you should try and always be a good emperor to yourself. Your body, your life is your kingdom, your ultimate responsibility, and it's yours. Nobody can really take that from you. So sit with authority on that throne of your being and say, these are my needs, these are my goals, this is what I'm going towards, and don't let anybody push you around and tell you otherwise and say, oh, you don't need that, that's a stupid goal, whatever the fuck kind of criticism people want to throw at you. Be like, no, I know what I need, I know what I want, and I know where I'm going. And don't let anybody try and push you off of that throne of knowingness, because you do have the inherent knowledge. Because that's one thing about the Emperor too, is that he has, just like Aries, this like innate confidence to him that allows them to go forward, which oftentimes it translates as impulsiveness, right? We look at Aries and say like, oh, it's very much an impulsive kind of archetype. But one thing about Aries that I find is that, yes, they may be impulsive, but oftentimes their impulses will be correct. And that's what I think can be a beautiful thing about the Emperor, is that his impulse to lead and take control is correct, because he does actually have the qualities he needs to do that very, very, very well. He still has a shadow side, of course, because everything casts a shadow, but on the positive side of it, he is the one who has the confidence and the drive and the self-assuredness to make this leadership position into his own and really embody that powerfully.
Absolutely. And one thing I think that will help people conceptually understand how these tarot archetypes work is Nao touched on the fact that the Emperor is confident. And that is so true. The Emperor is absolutely confident. And many of you may be thinking like, oh, well, I thought the King of Wands was confident, or this Leo energy was confident. Here's the thing. Both Aries and Leonine energies are confident, but Aries energy is confident without the need to rely on the approval of others to get that confidence. Aries is confident even when we're ugly, even when we're not right, even when nobody likes us, even when it's not popular. And Leo is not. Leo is vain. Leo needs to be beautiful, and is venerated for such, because you're beautiful. So you're confident because you're the most beautiful one, and ain't nobody touching you. You're the Leo of the room. You're the most beautiful one here. You have the most reasons to be confident. Aries doesn't need a reason to be confident. Aries is confident without having to rely on the approval of others. So what I would do is I would do the brave thing. Do the thing you've been putting off. Do the thing that you have that you don't leave behind, what you don't want to take into the new year, and bring in the energy that you do need. The Gregorian calendar and the year starting in Capricorn season has shit to do with astrology. That's not a significant period. New year, new me. For those of us living in solar synchronicity and lunar synchronicity, as we're going to be talking about on these podcasts, Capricorn season ain't got shit to do with shit. We're not done. It's not New Year. Like, it's not even like a good time to like do stuff. Technically, for a lot of things, it's not an initiatory time. Like, yes, I mean, the only thing I can say is it's good that Capricorn season is Christmas, and then you get like the new initiative to work hard to make the money you fucking spent on fucking consumer fucking Christmas. So that's the benefit. But this is the new year, and in this new year, it is self-focused, which is going to be hard to do in Capricorn season because you're so focused on money, and you just got finished focusing on family. You just processed all these fucking feels in Pisces season. Some of you are still crying, okay? So now that we went through all that and did all that omega purge that is so very necessary in Pisces season, now be that bitch. Now stand up for yourself and know that you are the number one authority of yourself, and can't nobody tell you nothing. Who out there is qualified to tell you about you? And that's what Aries energy has the audacity to say. Hill to die on. Ain't nobody telling me a goddamn thing. And I wish somebody would. Like, Aries has that audacity to challenge and say, if you really think you're going to do it, then come do it. And who's going to step up? Who's brave enough to do that without checking with other people if it's okay to exist? Aries has the audacity to exist, and it wouldn't exist without Aryan energy because everybody else is checking on everybody else. So is Aries selfish? Yes, but Aries is selfish for you. Otherwise, you wouldn't fucking be here. So that's my speech about my own personal self, and anybody who wants to come for Aries. Also, Chiron spends a lot of time on our shit. Leave us alone. We're babies. Be thankful. And we're just wonderful to be around anyway. If you want shit done, get you an Aries. If you want someone brave, get you an Aries. If you want energy to do what needs to be done for yourself without having to constantly gaslight yourself, second guess yourself, then tap into Aries energy and take advantage of this season. Bloom, but understand in the process of blooming, you will not remain the same. A bud is not the same as the bloomed rose. Okay. So this is a baby. We are an infant. Our dreams, our goals, who we are for the year of 2022 is in its bud stage. We have the opportunity to set the stage and burst onto the scene. And because you're listening to this and it's the beginning of the zodiac procession and we're talking about solar synchronicity, this can be you. So do what you need to do. And I'm proud to be an Aries. Most Aries are proud. And we'd be proud whether y'all proud for us or not. Like, we don't really care. So that's the beautiful thing about that. Shout out to all my Aries and Aryan queens and kings and days. And yeah, that's my speech about me.
Woo! I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I have an Aries Venus and Jupiter conjunct in the 9th house. Mm-hmm. So I definitely lean into my Aries Venus more and more. Like, I'm now that I've like spent so much time talking about astrology, really like looking at how I live out my own birth chart, I really see my Aries Venus come forward more often. I used to mistake it for Leo energy, but I love how you talked about how Leo has confidence if it's validated and co-signed by other people, where Aries does not fucking need that. And that's such an important distinction to have.
Mm-mm. It is. It is. It's what makes us a superior fire sign, in my opinion. Make your own podcast if you're mad that I said it. Make your own fucking podcast and get mad at me and call me out from your own fucking podcast. Preferably if you have millions of followers so we can start beef and get some fucking followers on this side. Okay? No, it, in my opinion, is what makes it the superior fire sign energy, because Leo is so fragile. Leo is only as strong as its position because it's fixed. So if you get a Leo fixed on something precarious, it's going to shatter. If a Leo's strength is fixed on how she looks and her face gets thrown with acid, it's over. Yeah. There goes the strength. Because that fixed position, they're going to be like, well, I'm not strong anymore because I was strong because of the way I look. So Leo can endure and has more stick to it energy than Aries does. I'm already over what I just said. I'm already over it. Like, Aries gets over stuff very, very quickly. So I will give Leo more endurance, okay? Because they're fixed and they're down to like chill on some shit. And Aries forgives because we forget. We don't always remember. It's because a lot of us have a struggle Mercury, which is another reason to feel sorry for us. We really don't have the pick of the litter.
You guys really don't, because you're sandwiched in between, like, Aries Mercury by itself is fine. You guys just talk really fast. You have a really passionate, kind of angry way of talking, which is not necessarily wrong. But
no.
A Pisces Mercury or a Taurus Mercury are your other two options for Mercury signs if you're an Aries. Yeah. Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers.
We only have struggle, and I mean, and out of those two, obviously you're not going to want to be a Taurus Mercury.
Nope.
I mean, who the fuck? And then Pisces Mercury, yes, we struggle. I absolutely do. You can watch me struggle 7 days a week during business hours and beyond. And yes, it is, because we're Aries and we have a Pisces Mercury, so we're lost in the sauce half the time. Things that should be very like straightforward aren't. And spatial reasoning and like practical application of things with the Pisces Mercury can definitely lead an Aries to struggle. But I think it contributes to our innocence, because a level of innocence is required to push forward. If you're over here analyzing all the reasons to be afraid or to have anxiety or what could go wrong, you are not tapping into Aries energy. Aries is not giving a fuck. Aries has full confidence that moving forward is going to be just fine. But with the Pisces Mercury, you could be a little delusional. And with a Taurus Mercury, you are very dumb. And with an Aries Mercury, bitch, you could set this hoe on fire before we even get out the box. You know what I mean? So we do have Mercury struggles. That's why I'm happy. I don't know. Do we need to be happy that Mercury is conjunct with Chiron and the moon? Um, for Aries, I guess it's as good as it gets because we do struggle. It's a struggle season. It is hard to be the first. But what other energy could do it? You know, and that, yeah, we don't even need to talk about Sagittarius. No one cares.
I was gonna say we brought up the other two, but I knew that if I was like,
Yeah,
well, since we talked about Aries and
no,
Leo,
don't
you're like,
even.
no.
No one cares. I will do it on this podcast.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. They are just fine. There's no Sagittarius, nothing going on. We are trading Sagittarius self-righteousness for Aquarian self-righteousness this season. So, no, but just kidding. But not
Nope.
at the same time. I can't not shitpost even in the podcast, girl. I'm like, let's be professional. Girl, I be fucking it up. I do. But you know what? It's star energy, and it's all jokes. We know Sagittarian energy is a beautiful energy, and it is what endures the most and about fire energy. But making jokes at Sagittarius' expense is just so fun. They're such jokesters themselves.
Right.
So
They
they
tend to
can
take
laugh
it.
along.
Sagittarius tends to take it much better. I think out of
Yeah.
all the out of all the fire signs, Aries is pretty good at taking criticism because, like we mentioned before, because Aries has that impulsivity, that enthusiasm, they tend to just charge forward into the fucking thing and then be like, "Oh, well, that was a dumb fucking idea." So they're used to being like wrong about some shit, right? So it's easy to like dunk on them and be like, "Hey," and they're like, "Oh yeah, no, we've done that. We did that. We totally did." Leo, on the other hand, the Leo struggles. The Leo struggles with the shit posting about it. It does.
They do. And Leos can't even shitpost. All they can do is just like worship themselves. That's their
And that
shitpost.
becomes its own style,
It is.
though.
It is. Leo shitposting is its own
We
style.
have penny posting.
Exactly. And when we brought up Sagittarius energy, I will say Sagittarius ego is the most conscientious of all the fire sign egos. I will give them that. They are the most conscientious. And they are putting those fire seeds back in the ground. You know what I mean? Those fire seeds that were taken out by Aries, the flame that was just set ablaze by Leo,
Yeah.
and Sagittarius is those embers that are going to endure and inspire more and separate fires. Okay. So that's how we can talk about the different elements of fire energy and how it moves forward and understanding modality, the season, all of these different parts of astrology can really, even if it's all fake, as I always say, it is a measure by which you can live your life. If you're wondering, what prompt do I need today? Well, the sun is in Aries and the moon is in Capricorn. So let's go get this money. Let's go apply for these jobs. It is a very, you can figure out what to do pretty easily once you have a working understanding of the archetypes. And here at the Star Podcast, our passion is bringing those archetypes to life, saying it's already happening. We might as well live it to the best of our abilities. And when you add yourself to the equation, your own natal chart, your own aspects, that's what makes it a personal journey with the luminaries. That's what makes astrology your own personal fingerprint on the cosmos. And I'm just so happy that we can do this, that this is the Aries season, that we're bringing it all to you. And, we're being Arian. At the beginning of this podcast, we had to plan it. It's not like we had all these, we just sat here and was like, let's do an Aries season podcast. Of course, the Virgo, Tanya, had her homework turned in days ago, right? But I'm the Aries. So here we are. And I'm just so happy to be doing this with you. This is great.
This is great. And since we brought it up a few times, and I figure we actually should probably shout the date out, the Aries New Moon will be coming up on Thursday, March 31st. So it's on the very last day of the month here. And it's going to be a really nice new moon because it doesn't have any intense aspects that day other than, of course, the Sun-Moon conjunction, which will take place in the evening at 11:24 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And then the moon will be conjunct Mercury also at 7:34 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So that again is going to, I think, be a good time. Again, we have been talking about communication of needs, of wants, desires. That will be a good day, I think, for those of us who live in lunar synchronicity as well and who use new moon energy to manifest things in our lives. That'll be a great day to talk about what your needs are and to kind of like put out the intention for the culmination in the following full moon of having your needs be met and having those calls be answered, the things that you desire, pulling them towards you. And because the moon will be conjunct Mercury, I think that's going to really help you be able to transmit that manifestation very, very clearly to the universe.
Absolutely. And I love that waxing moon when Venus is going to go into Pisces and just soften everything up and make it easier for you to achieve your dreams. Do not forget about that Neptunian Jupiter conjunction. It's just a magical season. Let us know in the comment section wherever you are, unless you're listening on Spotify. But I think there's comments. I know there's comments on YouTube. How this season is going for you, what your plans are. We love to hear from starlings. Starlings are the reason that we're here. They're the reason that we're here. And this episode, along with any episode moving forward, is brought to you by our beautiful patrons over on Patreon, patreon.com/Star the Society. And they just have really come through for us, haven't they, Nao?
They have. They really, really have. It's amazing to see it happen. I mean, it's amazing to see it happen so quickly, but I also kind of knew that the starlings were ready because they always are.
Yeah.
They're always ready to go down,
Mm-hmm. They are.
Yeah,
they are. Yeah, you did that one.
We're just gonna
you walked right
like that,
into that one. No. No, these bitches for real. They are. You ever been in a comment section with the fucking starling? Somebody's they're ready to go down. I agree with that. With that assessment, our patrons, thank you for allowing us to get this really cool software that is going to allow us to edit some of the most ridiculous shit I say on this bitch that can't make it to Spotify. And thank you for believing in us, for riding with us, for believing in our message and our point of view in getting this out there. Who are our patrons? And what is the title of the tier that they are on so people know how they can join and get a shout out?
Yes, we are about to shout out all of our patrons that exist here. I believe it is on, drumroll please, the Star Fallen and the Star Struck tiers on our Patreon. But I'm going to focus on the Star Fallen ones.
Yes.
So our Star Fallens are Alice Brown, Amanda Schoenhofer, Ellie Perkins, Ari Wood, and Victoria Drastic. Thank you guys so much. I hope you guys enjoy all of the amazing content that we're about to put on Patreon for you guys. That's going to include behind the scenes cuts and secret episodes. Yes, you guys will get secret patrons only episodes. So the first one of which will be dropping this Saturday, tomorrow, which is the 26th of March. The first one will be up.
I am excited. It'll actually be up before you guys hear this. So you guys have probably already heard that. So our Starstruck tier is $100 tier on our Patreon. And it takes Aries season to have that kind of audacity to put $100 tier on a Patreon for a podcast that is in its infancy like ours is. But we believe in ourselves. And the beautiful part of believing in ourselves is, the reward of just being confident that you can do something. But when you do have other people believe in you, that is such a beautiful thing. And those are our true people that are hitting it out of the park as far as sponsorship. And I want to call this position the King of Pentacles because it is the ultimate sugar daddy, ultimate BDE energy, people who are just making it rain on us so that we can make this happen. And that is Jenny Wilson. So thank you so much, Jenny Wilson, for really making an investment in Star. Your investment serves so many that can hear us all around the world and really understand what it is that we do here and why Star's voice is so important in this metaphysical community. So thank you from the bottom of my heart as Queen Machete and as Star as a whole, not just the Star podcast itself, but just the whole community for really putting yourself out there to make this happen and be a true patron of the arts. And, taking it back to like, I believe you can do something. Here's some money so you can pursue that. And I just love that. Thank you so much, Jenny. And if you,
Thank you.
yes, thank you. And if you want to join and get shout outs, and I will be doing some funny ones in the future, I already got plans for Vic. Vic, you want to roast somebody in the group? Girl, I got a podcast. Watch it. But we love Vic. Thank you so much, everybody who has supported us. And you can catch us, like I said, on patreon.com/Star the Society. You can also find us at Star the Society on Instagram as well, and Star the Society on Facebook. And there you will find links to our groups and a lot of the other stuff we have going on. Where can they find you?
They can find me at The Real It's Nao on Instagram and TikTok. And also at patreon.com/The Real It's Nao.
Yes, and as always, you can find me at queen.machete on Instagram and patreon.com/Queen Machete, where you can get private sessions with me, with tarot, astrology, and just cartomancy in general. We're very excited for this season. Welcome to Aries season. Welcome to Star and us letting you know how we live in solar synchronicity. And thank you to everybody who makes this possible. You folks have a wonderful rest of the season, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Not to watch